Chris, am I introducing?
Welcome everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 9th meeting of the Comox Valley Sewage Commission. And before I starting, I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered on the unceded territory of the Comox First Nation, the traditional keepers of this land. I'd like to acknowledge that we have directors Grant, Cole Hamilton, and alternate director Millier. Welcome here in the regional district chambers, along with numerous staff members. And online, we have Sewage Commission members, Captain Chris Hazlitt, alternate director from Comox, and Director McCollum, who's in transit somewhere from Courtney. So thanks everybody for making the effort to be here today, and we will commence our meeting with the resolution status report dated May 2023. A motion for receipt, please. Moved Grant, seconded Cole Hamilton. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there anyone opposed to receipt? That is carried. And we shall move on to the Sewage Advisory Committee minutes from April 27th. The motion for receipt, please. Moved Grant. Seconded Cole Hamilton. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we shall vote on receipt. Is anyone opposed? That's carried. And we move on to item number 2, the Sandy Dump update to report dated May 3rd or May 4th, 2023 for receipt, please. Moved Cole Hamilton, seconded Grant. Does staff have anything to say about this? Mr. Warren, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm pleased to introduce Chris LaRose, our Senior Manager of Water and Wastewater Services, to introduce this staff report. Chris.
Thank you, James, and through the chair. So this report provides an update on the Sandy Dump Initiative and also proposes a potential alternative path forward given some of the challenges we've encountered. So over the past 2 years, staff have been working with municipal counterparts to try and identify potential sites for development of a Sandy Dump facility or potentially facilities. And time after time, we've run into roadblocks. The initiative was as a result of numerous suggestions from the public that there was a gap in terms of Sandy Dump services locally. And the thought was that the region could step in and provide the service and fill the current need, which it's feared is leading to potentially more illegal dumping of black water tanks from RVs. So the latest initiative was carried fairly far along in the process, and it was for a Sandy Dump located on Ryan Road between Anderton and the entry to the base. We had initially received strong positive feedback from the key stakeholders, but really far along in the process, the Ministry of Transportation decided that they wanted to reserve the full width of the right-of-way on Ryan Road along that section for potential widening of the roadway in the future. So, so yet another site that didn't pan out. In the process, though, we became quite a bit more aware of the scale of costs involved in developing such a facility. So both through a combination of that significantly elevated cost, the amount of effort that this has taken on staff part, and our lack of success has prompted us to suggest that we potentially should look at incentivizing to the private sector to try and step up and fill the gap rather than providing the service on our own. So I wanted to put that forth today for discussion and a recommendation from staff. So happy to answer any questions about this.
Thanks very much, Chris. And we'll go first to Director Grant.
Thank you. So I was just wondering, have we spoken with KFN regarding putting something like this at their Condensory Road campsite? Seems like a bit of a natural.
Yes, we did. So fairly early on in the process, we did collaborate with the KFN to explore the possibility of first co-locating a sandy dump facility at their campground on IR2. And then after that, we looked at just across the road on IR2 as well. And both sites were eventually eliminated, just given uncertainty over future plans, and also in common with all of the other sites that we've looked at, the potential scale of the lineup that could be attracted by such a facility.
Director Grant, follow up.
So would it be worth re-engaging with KFN to see if they have any further interest in this? Or maybe Richard has some thoughts on it that he could help us with too.
Is your suggestion that in light of the proposed direction of offering an incentive for such a facility?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay. Certainly take that away.
So staff will take that under advisement and potentially follow up. Any further questions or comments from directors or staff? All right, we will vote on receipt of the report. Anyone opposed to receipt? That's carried, and we have a recommendation that staff be directed to pause development of a regional owned sandy dump facility and engage with the business community regarding potential of incentives being offered by the Comox Valley Sewage Service to spur development of private sandy dump services. And we understand from the discussion that's just taken place that would include potentially reapproaching KFN. Would somebody like to move the recommendation? Moved Grant, seconded Cole Hamilton. Is there any discussion? All right, is there anyone opposed to the recommendation? There is no one. That is carried. Thanks very much, Chris and all. And we'll move on to number 3. The report of May the 4th regarding an update on the Greenwood Trunk sanitary sewer main flows for receipt, please. Moved Grant, seconded by Mayor. Your official baptism to the Sewage Commission has taken place. Apologies for the imagery of that. And over to staff for this report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And pleased to introduce Zoe Berkey, Senior Engineering Analyst, to introduce the board to this report. Zoe.
Thank you, James, through the chair. The Greenwood Trunk was installed and constructed in 2018 to alleviate capacity constraints. Throughout the design, the CVRD staff worked closely with the city in development of the design flows based on the anticipated development and connections of existing pump stations. Through this process, we determined the maximum design flow at 270 liters a second and the minimum design flow to achieve the necessary flushing velocities of 14 liters a second. Currently, the flows within the line are less than the 14 liters a second required to flush the line, and this results in a number of operational challenges, including odor. As outlined in the report, supplementing the flows with potable water is not a great or viable solution due to cost. And as such, as we are proposing to monitor the line over the summer and reassess the flows in the fall, following a few additional city connections. We're happy to answer any questions, and at this time, the report's just for information only.
Thanks very much. Any questions or comments? And I will say that I was remiss earlier in not acknowledging that we also have Area B Hardy with us in the chambers today, who has voice but not voted at the Sewage Commission meetings and is welcome to come up as invited by Director Grant earlier. Any questions or comments on the Greenwood Trunk report? There don't appear to be any, so we shall vote on. Oh, we have Director McCollum waving her flag there. Director McCollum, over to you. You are on mute, so.
I'm sorry about that. I'm having a hard time with Zoom on an iPad right now. I am curious to hear from staff of whether or not they believe that we'll likely have to examine this again in the fall, or if they're hopeful that the new connections is going to meet that 14 liters per second. And if there are any other options beyond adding water to the system if there's some other possibilities on the horizon.
Thanks. We don't anticipate reaching the 14 liters a second by the fall, but we do want to take a look once the Clonoa pump station is connected and see if we're at least not having settling issues within the pipe. So that's kind of the intent, is to wait and see over the summer if we're getting enough flow that we're not having huge odor complaints or settling problems within the pipe once we know that additional pump station is connected. Sorry, I forgot the rest of your question.
No, I think that answered it.
Okay.
Just kind of what we're looking at and on a 6-month horizon, and I think you answered it. So thank you.
No problem.
Okay, any further questions or comments? All right, we'll vote on receipt. Is there anyone opposed? That is carried. Thanks very much to staff. And moving on, we have a recommendation to go in camera based on section 90 and 91K of the community charter. Could somebody move the recommendation, please? Moved by Grant and seconded by Melior. Is there anyone opposed? That is carried, and we shall move in camera. Thank you.